Welcome to the regular board meeting of the Dufferin-Peel Catholic District School Board. Today is Tuesday, September 26th. Call to order. We have Trustee Daryl D'Souza, who's joining us online. Trustee Paula D'Amato Giovanazzi may be late. She's traveling right now, but she's trying to get in. And the rest of the trustees are here. And our two students trustees are also here. So we have the national anthem at tonight's board meeting will be performed by the 2022-2023 Cardinal Ambrosic Catholic Secondary School, grade 11 and 12, senior instrumental class under the direction of teacher Paweł Wisnicki. Please stand for the national anthem. General Manager Campbell, could you please convey our thanks to the students of Cardinal Ambrosic? Thank you. Let us remember the students, staff, trustees, and family members of staff and trustees who have recently passed away and keep them in our thoughts and prayers. Eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord, and let the perpetual light shine upon them. May they rest in peace. Amen. I would like to ask student trustee Nathan Nguyen to please lead us in our opening prayer.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. O Almighty God, our Father in heaven, from whom all goodness and truth on earth have come forth, grant to us, the Catholic community gathered at this meeting, the vision to recognize and the vigor to espouse, sound principles of educational theory and practice in a spirit of balance and judgment. And the proper perspective, give us also the courage to turn always onto the path of higher goodness in our deliberations, administrative decisions, and courses of action. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen.
Thank you, student trustee Nathan Nguyen. We're now going to do the land acknowledgement. We begin by acknowledging the land and our responsibility to care for and respect all that creation gives to provide us with life. This land upon which we live, work, and sustain ourselves is the ancestral and treaty lands of the Missishalig Ashinabek, also known today as the Mississaugas of the Credit, the rightful caretakers and title holders of this land. We also recognize that this land is rich in pre-contact history and relationship, which includes the Anishinaabe and Onkwinowi, and since European contact has and continues to become home for indigenous and non-indigenous people. As a responsible community, we believe all people are sacred and possess inherent and immeasurable worth and dignity. Colonialism displaced and dispossessed indigenous peoples of their ancestral lands and continues to deny their basic human rights, dignities, and freedoms. We are committed to the sacrament of our reconciliation, making reparations, and fulfilling our treaty obligations duties, and responsibilities as outlined in the Kudu na Dish with One Spoon, Wampum. This treaty governs and affirms that we actively maintain mutually beneficial relationships and collectively respect and care for the land, water, animals, and each other in order to guarantee a good life for our future descendants. Okay, so next item in our agenda is the approval of our agenda. We have, you have received your top sheets. So in our top sheet, the first top sheet that you received, there's a correction on F1, page 46. The questions asked of by trustees, it should read as St. Aloysius Gonzaga Secondary School. And replacing in camera L3A is attached and distributed L4A. We also have the new one, the latest top sheet that you received today. So we have L5C, motion recommended by Contracts and Negotiations Committee, and L10, personnel matter, in camera trustees. So could I have a mover to approve the agenda, less that, not yet?
Through the chair, you need the majority of trustees to approve the addition to the agenda
Okay,
on the second top sheet, which is,
L5C.
yeah, L5C and
Okay.
L10C.
Okay, so I need a mover to approve the addition of L5C and L10C. Moved by trustee Anisha Thomas, seconded by trustee Bruno Anika. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Okay, so now we get the mover to approve our agenda. Could I have a mover for the agenda? Moved by trustee Bria Corbett, seconded by trustee John Xavier. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. So next item is the declaration of interest. So the item L5C will be moved to.
Through the chair, before you get the motion to move, you get the declaration of L5C.
Oh, yes. Do we have any for the declaring interest? Trustee Mario Pascucci?
Yes, I have member of the family who's a member elect. I have
Thank you. Trustee Bruno Anika?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Same one for, I have members of my family electa in 2026.
Thank you. Trustee Stefano Pascucci?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Same item, L5C. I have a family member who's part of Electa.
Thank you. Any other declaration of interest? Thank you. So could I have a mover now to move L5C to L8? A mover, moved by trustee Sean Xavier, seconded by trustee Herman Veloria. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. Madam Director?
Through the chair, A7 is the approval of minutes for the regular board meeting of August 22nd, 2023, and attached is the business arising from those minutes.
Could I have a mover to move our minutes of the regular board meeting August 22nd with the amendments that, with the correction, right, Madam Director? We had
Through the
that
chair, that's
correction.
correct.
Okay, could I have moved by trustee Stefano Pascucci? Seconded by trustee Anisha Thomas. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. Madam Director?
Through the chair, we're on section B, and good evening. We have pastor's remarks this evening, and it's a video presentation by Monsignor Shields. The focus this evening for his presentation to us is entitled Leadership in Today's World.
Lord Jesus, after reading In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. As trustees and members of this school community, we are given the noble task of teaching and preaching the good news of our Lord in our classrooms, among our teachers and students. And what a wonderful call you have as leaders in Catholic education to instill the truths of our faith to others by the prayer actions and commitments that you make as trustees. God, in his own way, has called you forth to be pillars of truth and justice, of kindness and understanding, of honesty and integrity, of strength and love, to serve this community with your faith and witness and commitment. And what a great honor you have that God has called you to serve in this capacity of leadership within the Catholic community. And as a priest of the people, I can only admire and support this dignified role you play in leading our teachers and students in the ways of God, who is our loving Father. For a moment, my friends, let us listen to these words of Scripture, which give us hope and faith in what we are about in this house of learning and love. From the Gospel of John, we hear the words, "When he had washed their feet and put on his outer garments and resumed his place, he said to them, 'Do you understand what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you also should do just as I have done to you.'" And then from Paul's letter to the Philippians, he says, "Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. Have this in mind among yourselves, which is yours in Jesus, who, though he was in the form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied himself by taking the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of us." I remember a few years ago visiting Mount Pleasant Cemetery with some friends in Toronto, and there was a magnificent statue in bronze of Jesus washing the feet of Peter. It was lifelike. I sat on the park bench beside it, just staring at this wondrous piece of art and how Peter was so startled to see Jesus washing his feet. The message was so clear to me. We are servants of the Lord, always in our lives, in our hearts. Now, please bear with me in this beautiful prayer of stewardship. Loving God, I come to you in thanksgiving, knowing that all I am and all that I have is a gift from you. In faith and love, help me to do your will. I am listening, Lord. Speak your words into the depth of my soul so that I might hear you clearly. I offer you this very day all the facets of my life, whether it be at home, at work, at school, to be patient, to be merciful, to be generous, to be holy. Give me the wisdom and insight to understand your will for me and the fervor to fulfill my good intentions. I offer my gifts of time and talent and possessions to you as a true act of faith, to reflect my love for you and my neighbor. Help me to reach out to others as you, my God, have reached out to me. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you. What a beautiful and timely homily. Madam Director, kindly express our thanks to Monsignor Shields for again bringing us this wisdom.
Through the chair, I would be pleased to do so.
Thank you. Next item in the agenda, Madam Director.
Through the chair, we're now on section C, which is awards and presentations. And I will share with you that tonight is a moment of pride because it's a presentation entitled Save on Energy 2022 for our Energy Manager of the Year Award winner. Edward Kai is the Manager of Environmental Support Services, Maintenance Services with our board. This evening, we are so pleased to recognize Edward Kai, the Manager of Environmental Support Services, as the recipient of the Save on Energy Program's 2022 Energy Manager of the Year Award. Edward is well known for his infectious enthusiasm and commitment to a high standard of excellence in his craft, which, in conjunction with our plant facilities team, has helped this board reduce energy costs significantly between 2018 and 2022. Our energy team was formally recognized by Save on Energy at an awards ceremony on September 12th. We're so very pleased and proud of Edward and his receipt of this honor and call him to come forward to be recognized by the Board of Trustees. Congratulations, Edward. I'd ask the Board of Trustees to come forward to present Edward with his certificate. C2 is another moment of pride for Dufferin Peel. It's the presentation of the 2022-2023 St. Hildegard of Bingen Veritas Stewardship and Sustainable Practices Award, and it's going to be presented by Superintendent Peel.
Good evening. Through the chair, it's my pleasure this evening to bring you information about the St. Hildegard de Bingen Veritas Award. This award recognizes an individual who is a member of a vibrant and innovative stewardship or eco program in a Dufferin Peel school, and who, through their exemplary efforts, creates opportunities that inspire students to become environmentally conscious, responsible world citizens who take sustainable action to protect and restore the environment, thereby creating hope for future generations. I'm pleased to share with you that the recipient of the 2022-2023 St. Hildegard de Bingen Veritas Award is Martin Ramirez, teacher at Cardinal Leger Catholic Secondary School. Throughout his career at Cardinal Leger Catholic Secondary School, Martin has exemplified an altruistic commitment to protecting the environment. His efforts intentionally respond to Pope Francis's call to protect our common home. Martin leads students in organizing eco-initiatives that are instrumental in reducing the school's ecological footprint. Martin and his eco team lead the weekly recycling and waste reduction program. They introduced school-wide upcycling programs such as a gently used school supply initiative and clothing swap. And Martin has involved students in creating a milkweed garden, which promotes the reproduction of the butterfly population. Through these engaging activities, Martin encourages students to become more responsible citizens. In short, Martin has demonstrated the ability to motivate and mobilize the Cardinal Leger Catholic Secondary School community to be committed stewards of creation. Unfortunately, Martin was unable to attend the meeting this evening. I will make arrangements to present the award to him personally at Cardinal Leger.
Thank you. Next item, Madam Director.
Through the chair, the next item is C3 was the proclamation for National Catholic Healthcare Week, October 1st to 7 of 2023. Whereas National Catholic Healthcare Week has helped to build awareness of the integral role and service provided by Catholic healthcare organizations, and whereas the Ontario Catholic Schools Trustees Association has encouraged Catholic school boards to participate in the annual National Catholic Healthcare Week promotion, be it resolved that the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board recognize and proclaim the first week in November as National Catholic Healthcare Week, and on an annual basis, develop a promotional campaign that highlights and formally recognizes those graduating students who are aspiring to serve Christ and others by entering the vocation of healthcare.
You have to move. Okay. So the motion is the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board recognize and proclaim that October 1 to 7, 2023 as National Catholic Healthcare Week in all Dufferin Peel schools and facilities. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Trustee Bria Corbett, seconded by Trustee Bruno Anica. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Through the chair, C4 is the proclamation for Empowering Women Day, October 2nd, 2023. Whereas women possess an inalienable dignity which comes to them immediately from God, their creator, and God gives men and women an equal personal dignity. And whereas sacred scripture reminds us that as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, clothe yourselves in compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience, and that compassion for all individuals remains among Canada's foremost aspirations. And whereas poverty and inequality disproportionately affect Canadian women, leaving them isolated and vulnerable, and whereas there is a wage gap between men and women in Canada, and Canadian women face barriers in pursuing and completing post-secondary education and careers in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and whereas Indigenous women, be they First Nation, Métis, or Inuit, are disproportionately affected by gender-based violence and sexual exploitation and face barriers with respect to equal access to education and employment and representation in Canadian legislator councils. And whereas the Parliament of Canada wishes to underscore the importance of celebrating and commemorating the notable achievements and advancements of Canadian women and addressing the challenges faced by Canadian women. And whereas only faith can embrace the mysterious ways of God's almighty power, this faith glories in its weaknesses in order to draw to itself Christ's power. The Virgin Mary is the supreme model of this faith, for she believed that nothing will be impossible with God and was able to magnify the Lord. For he who is mighty has done great things for me, and holy is his name. Be it resolved that the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board recognize that in each and every year, the first Monday in October is to be known as Empowering Women Day.
Thank you. The motion is the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board proclaims that October 2, 2023 be recognized and celebrated annually, the first Monday in October, as Empowering Women Day in Dufferin Peel schools and facilities. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Trustee Stefano Pascucci, seconded by Trustee Anisha Thomas. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you.
C5 is a proclamation, the Bus Driver Appreciation Day for October 18, 2023, whereas student transportation services are an integral part of our operation at the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board. And whereas our transportation consortium is the largest in Canada, with approximately over 1,400 school vehicles and over 5,500 individual bus runs. And whereas our bus drivers do an outstanding job transporting approximately 62,000 students on behalf of the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board and the Peel District School Board on a daily basis, be it resolved that the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board proclaims that October 18, 2023 be recognized and celebrated as Bus Driver Appreciation Day, whereby all Dufferin Peel schools are encouraged in an appropriate manner to celebrate and thank their bus drivers for a job well done.
The motion is the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board proclaims that October 18, 2023 be recognized and celebrated as Bus Driver Appreciation Day, whereby all Dufferin Peel schools are encouraged in an appropriate manner to celebrate and thank their bus drivers for a job well done. Moved by Trustee Daryl D'Souza. I have seconded by Trustee Bruno Ainica. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
C6 is a proclamation, Fire Prevention Week, October 8 to 14, 2023. Whereas the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all students and staff, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and whereas fire safety education is a key element in promoting awareness among students and staff, allowing them to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire. And whereas Fire Prevention Week, which occurs annually, helps to raise public awareness of fire safety across Ontario, be it resolved that the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board recognizes and proclaims October 8 to 14 Fire Prevention Week in Dufferin Peel schools and facilities, and that appropriate resources be shared with schools to assist in bringing greater awareness of the importance of fire prevention to students and staff.
The motion is the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board recognize and proclaim that October 8 to 14, 2023 as Fire Prevention Week in all Dufferin Peel schools and facilities. Moved by Trustee Sean Xavier, seconded by Trustee Thomas. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, Madam Director.
Through the chair, we're now moving to delegations, and we have one delegation this evening regarding the procedural bylaw on delegations. I'm pleased to call forward Josephine Lutke from Campaign Life Coalition.
Welcome, Ms. Lutke. And thank
Having
you.
me back.
Yes, so I have to go through our normal procedures. So welcome and thank you again for delegating at this meeting. I will review a few points related to the rules and process related to delegations. You will have 5 minutes to make your presentation. This will be timed. We will signal you when there is 1 minute remaining. If you intend to use or begin to use the name, title, position of a staff member or members, or any personal or any other information with respect to a member of the board or committee, or a pupil, or his or her parent or guardian, I will rule that you must address the committee or board of trustees in an in-camera session. Delegates can be critical of board decisions or make submissions with respect to a recommendation or decision. However, delegates should refrain from negative, critical, or derogatory comments about any identifiable person. Once you have completed your presentation, trustees will be given an opportunity to ask you questions of clarification related to your presentation. Once questions of clarification from trustees are completed, your role in the delegation will be concluded and you will be asked to leave the podium and take your seat in the gallery. At that point, trustees may debate the issue and may ask questions of staff. It is important to be aware that no decision will be made on the issue at this meeting. If there are no questions, please proceed with your delegation.
My name is Josie Lutke. I'm the Director of Education and Advocacy for Campaign Life Coalition. Thank you for humoring me for the 3rd board meeting in a row. I think all of us have things we'd rather be doing than listening to me yet again, but as the risk of censorship remains, I felt obligated to delegate once more. Please reject any changes to Article 7 of the procedural bylaw on delegations and submissions. At the August 22nd board meeting, the proposed changes to the procedural bylaw were somewhat downplayed, so they may not seem like a big deal. However, it was said at that meeting that, quote, the intent is to avoid any sort of broad characterizations of groups, especially that might be protected under the Human Rights Code, by portraying an entire group of having certain characteristics, unquote. Prior to the June 20th board meeting, I received a call from a Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board staff member requesting I omit sections of my speech on the pride flag. The concerns she relayed were very similar, claims that I was broadly generalizing the LGBTQ community. As I said to her, and then again during the meeting, I was talking about specific individuals, those who had created the pride flag and its modern day variations. I did not make generalizations. Nonetheless, immediately after my delegation, staff were requested to make changes to the bylaw. I have, once again, brought a copy of my June speech to request that this board identify any example of my making broad characterizations of a group. And if you cannot do that, I would humbly submit that you recognize that there was an attempt to censor my presentation on a false basis. And this is one of the many problems with censorship. Unless the one doing the censoring is God himself, then the person doing the censoring is going to make mistakes, including about what constitutes discrimination. We are fallible. If the bylaw is changed, these same attempts at censorship could become more regular and effective, which is of great concern to myself and the 3,000 plus who have signed CLC's petition to stop the plan to censor parents at school board meetings. You may have not liked what I said about the flag, but I hope you appreciate that we have a constitutional right to freely voice those objections, to criticize the underlying assumptions of gender identity and the implications of including gender expression as a protected ground. We have denominal rights under Section 93 of the Constitution, which supersede the Ontario Human Rights Code. And as Catholics, you should want to exercise those. Instead of trying to gag delegates, why don't you just express how you disagree? This is the constructive path forward, which allows the whole community to learn and fosters true respect for differences. If I've said something wrong, let's talk about it. Explain your perspective, and hopefully we can better understand each other and maybe even find some common ground. Trying to preemptively censor someone, however, out of the public eye before they've even had the chance to be heard is cowardly, unproductive, and not conducive to the sort of open inquiry necessary for a free democratic society. And it's arrogant to believe that, again, fallible staff could make judgments for the whole board about which perspectives are valuable or not. Do you want to take the risk that any grain of truth, any worthy comment might be censored? Legally, it would be prudent to err on the side of free speech, let all opinions be expressed. The Toronto Catholic District School Board is being sued for weaponizing its code of conduct to suppress the free speech rights of trustee Mike Dilgrand and has likely spent $1 million in lawyer bills already. Don't open up yourselves to similar lawsuits from parents. You may feel like you could support the changes to Article 7 because they reference the Ontario Human Rights Code and you believe they will only be applied to a narrow set of situations. Let me reiterate then that based on the circumstances that birthed the initial request for revisions to the bylaw and the subsequent stated intention of avoiding broad characterizations, the intent of these revisions is to censor presentations like the one I delivered in June. So no matter the language, no matter what assurances are provided, note that the desire to censor has already been made clear. Even if you're fine with that, let me also point out that future staff could inherit this bylaw and they may interpret any restrictions much more liberally than staff currently do. Censorship may grow ever more rampant unless you stop it in its tracks. Let's not go down that path of authoritarianism. Let's not fix what ain't broke. It's healthy to hear perspectives other than your own. Don't get stuck in an echo chamber. Engage with differing ideas and charitably correct those who have erred in their reasoning. Does the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board wish to teach students critical thinking? Then model it. So please reject any changes to the procedural bylaw and delegations, even if revised language is proposed. And again, I invite you to clarify what was it that I said in June that ought to have been censored. Thank you.
Thank you. Order. Thank you. Thank you. Order. Order in the House. Thank you. Are there any questions of clarification to the delegate? No other question? Thank you, Ms. Lutke, for your presentation. Are there any questions to the staff? Any questions of clarification to the staff? Seeing none. Thank you. I would like to read a statement. The revised Article 7 of Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board's procedural bylaw is simplest statement of the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board's existing legal obligation to comply with the Ontario Human Rights Code. This legal obligation has been in place for a very long time. The code requires the board to ensure that the learning and working environment for its students and staff is free from discrimination and harassment. Not approving the new language of Article 7 does not erase that legal obligation. The legal obligation will continue to exist, and Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board will continue to act in a way that complies with that obligation. Including the language of Article 7 does, however, highlight and elevate the board's commitment to uphold the code and support all its students and staff in all of its operations, including at Board of Trustees and committee meetings. The Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board welcomes and encourages delegations. Every delegation is reviewed to compliance purposes. If a delegation would have the effect of causing the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board to violate its legal obligations, we will work with the delegate with a view to ensuring that the delegation does not violate any applicable laws. It is a matter of ensuring compliance with laws. Thank you. Next item in the agenda. Silence, please. This is the first warning. Silence, please. This is the first warning. Next warning. Silence. We will call a recess if this is not followed. Silence, please. Thank you. Next item in the agenda.
Through the chair, we're on section E, regular reports. 1A is the Ontario Catholic School Trustees Association report.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Trustee Sean Xavier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, Trustee Del Rosario and I had the opportunity to attend the Oxta board meeting, the director's retreat, as well as our board meeting on the weekend of September 15th. The highlights of this meeting were circulated from the chair to all trustees last week. On Monday, September 18th, Trustee Del Rosario, Demetto Giovanazzi, Thomas, and myself, along with Director Mazzarato, attended the Oxta Central Fall Regional Meeting. And at this gathering, President Pat Daly had given us updates in regards to the Oxta Board of Directors and staff that are working on including labor relations, advocacy with MPPs, current initiatives, and submissions to the different levels of the Ontario government and the finance brief recommendations. We had also received information on consultations from Bill 98 on the Code of Conduct and Shared Facilities and Oxta recommendations. A copy of this document has currently been distributed to all trustees in front of them at this moment, and it has also been given to all the trustees actually who weren't able to attend our regional meeting. The new Oxta Dignity of the Human Person module was also introduced at this meeting as well. In this module, you'll find the following items, which is primarily that are being reviewed, which is the matters of equity, diversity, and inclusion examined through the lens of our Catholic faith, which features Archbishop Emeritus Thomas Cardinal Collins on faith, the lawyer and former Catholic trustee Karen Valentine on the law, and Vice Principal George Macaulay from the London District Catholic School Board on anti-racism. These are topics that will actually also be covered within our in-service on October 10th. So we're all encouraging all trustees to be able to attend our in-service that is going to be happening on the October 10th date. Oxta also is encouraging all trustees to go through with these Oxta modules. It's providing great guidance to all of us in regards to our role as a Catholic trustee. And lastly, that concludes the report for this evening from Oxta on behalf of Trustee Del Rosario and I, and I'm happy to answer any questions. If not, I'll send this into the minutes for our recording secretary. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Xavier. Are there any questions on the report? Seeing none. Next item in the agenda, Madam Director.
Through the chair, 1B is the student voice report.
To the chair, good evening, trustees, staff, and public attendees. My name is Nathan Nguyen, the student trustee for DPCDSB North.
My name is Bailey Klein, the Indigenous Student Trustee for DPCDSB. We are grateful to be here before you all today as we present to you our September Student Voice Report.
We start off our school year by partnering with our mental health and well-being team to host elementary conferences for all 7 families of schools. All elementary schools were invited to send 4 students and a staff member to participate in the day. The keynote speaker, Coach Martinez, gave a very compelling keynote about a few things that can be done to ensure that you are taking care of yourself, such as finding time for movement, laughter, vitamin D, etc. Well-being team shared some facts and myths about mental health and building strong habits and how to help and support those who need it. During the second half of the day, student senate members and mental health champions from each secondary school helped lead team building activities and facilitated group discussions on bringing mental health initiatives in their respective schools. It was great to hear some of the students have fun, but also see students work within their school groups with their teachers to begin planning what they would like to see happen this year within their local school communities. A special thank you to Student Senate and the mental health and well-being champions who worked incredibly hard to make these conferences possible.
In addition, this month we had the opportunity to attend the OCSTA regional meeting on September 18th in Hamilton. During the meeting, we learned about what it means to be a Catholic leader and the value of Catholic education. We are grateful to have had this opportunity to attend the meeting and network with other student trustees from local school boards. Although we have not met all our Senate members in person, as our first meeting on September 7th was brief and virtual, We are really looking forward to September 28th, where we finally meet in person. We are excited to have our first official Student Senate meeting at Silver Creek Outdoor Education Center, where we will participate in some team building and leadership activities, work on some personal goal setting while enjoying nature and begin discussing what the rest of our meetings will look like. At the end of this week, I will be in Ottawa to participate in some events in honor of National Truth and Reconciliation, also known as Orange Shirt Day. As this is Truth and Reconciliation Week, we hope that everyone takes the time to learn new things and unlearn some of the myths of colonial history in Canada.
To conclude, Bailey and I look forward to sharing more about our Student Senate meeting and about the time spent in Ottawa during Truth and Reconciliation Week at our next board meeting in October. As a conclusion for our September Student Voice Report, we would be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Are there any questions to the trustees, to the student trustees? Comments, questions? No? Thank you very much, Nathan and Bailey, for that report. Next item in the agenda, Madam Director.
Through the chair, 1C is good news report.
Okay, do we have any good news report? No, I will pass on the chair to Vice Chair Thomas. So, please, in order, this is the second warning. Okay, if you don't stop, we will take a recess and we will move in the online. So, okay, this is not stopping. We will take a recess. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take a recess and move our meeting virtually. Thank you. Sound good? Okay, then. Welcome back to the open session of the regular board meeting of the Board of Trustees of Dauphinville Catholic District School Board. Madam Director, I believe we were at good news report.
Through the chair, yes, we were moving to F1.
Not that we have to.
You have good
Yeah.
news?
We
Okay.
have good news report. So I'm going to pass on the chair to Vice Chair Thomas. I think that's what I was doing when we got interrupted. So on behalf of Trustee Paula D'Amato Giovanazzi, I don't think she make it there yet. She is traveling tonight, so probably she's still en route. I would like to read her good news report. I would just like to mention on behalf of absent Trustee Paula D'Amato Giovanazzi, this past summer from July 22 to 29, 2023, 13-year-old Caledon resident and student of Dauphinville, Ms. Cassandra Seymour, competed in the junior division of the International Dance Organization's World Dance Challenge. You can see her picture on the screen as part of the Canadian National Dance Team, which was held in Monterrey, Mexico. This is a big deal as Ms. Seymour was competing on the world stage, which she describes as the Dancers Olympics. Ms. Seymour won first place for her contemporary dance performance, second place for her lyrical dance performance, and third place for her hip hop performance, and fourth place for her jazz performance. We are also very proud of Ms. Seymour and we wish her continued success in the future. The second good news report is from me. First of all, I would like to officially welcome our staff, I'd like to say that outside, students, parents, and guardians to the 2023-2024 school year. I also would like to thank Principal Ayarossi of St. Oscar Romero Catholic Secondary School for inviting me to visit the 3 sites where we offer various alternative programs for our students from a disengaged environment. In speaking with staff and students, I was enlightened on what and how amazing things St. Romero offers to our students. The staff work with students on initiatives relating to Catholicity, student engagement, and equity. With the help of all the caring adults in the building, the teachers build confidence in the students build confidence in themselves and thus become productive citizen. It is an amazing to see that our teachers provide different levels of math or English in the same class. So I'd like to thank a great group of teaching and support staff that spend time to know the learners, help the learners, and walk with the learners. So my sincere thanks to all the staff and students who welcomed me during my visit to the 3 sites of St. Oscar Romero Catholic Secondary School. I do encourage you, when you have a moment, just call Principal Irosi and do visit, because it's an enlightening knowledge to know that the different programs that they offer, which I didn't know before. So it was enlightening for me. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Do you have any other good news here? No? Okay, back to you.
Okay, thank you. Madam Director.
Through the chair, F1 is the updates and information reports from committees for receipt. The minutes of the Administration and Finance Committee meeting of June 6, 2023, and the business arising from that minutes were also attached.
So the minutes is in front of you. Are there any questions or clarifications on the minutes? Seeing none. Second item, Madam Director.
F2 are the minutes of the Special Education Advisory Committee meeting of June 14, 2023.
Any questions or clarification, correction? No, thank you.
F3 are the minutes of the Audit Committee meeting of May 9, 2023.
Any questions, clarifications?
Just 1 second, Madam Chair.
Sorry, we don't do
Just 1
second.
second.
We don't do.
He's asking for again.
Just
Oh,
1 second.
pause. The oil.
Just 1 second,
Am I
Madam Chair.
going
I'm
too
just
far?
trying to catch up here. Okay, now, I had something on Special Advisory Committee, but that's okay. I'll pick it up. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Special education, you mean?
Yeah, special.
Okay. Of the question, is it the minutes that you want to?
No, you know, so Madam Chair, in recognition of what's happening out there, just deal with it later. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, so maybe if it's a question, we'll do in later
Later,
time.
later.
Okay,
Thank you.
all
Madam
right.
Chair.
So minutes of the audit committee meeting, it's in front of you. Any questions, clarifications? Seeing none. Next item, Madam Director.
G1 is updates and information reports for administration for receipt, and before trustees lies a retirement letter from Michelle Catino, who's the principal of Equitable and Inclusive Education. Michelle's 32-year journey in Catholic education began with multiple teaching assignments in every division and in special education at St. Jerome and Father Daniel Zanon schools. Answering the call to more formal leadership, Michelle then served as vice principal to the communities of St. Julia and St. Veronica for several years. She was appointed as the principal of Equity and Inclusive Education 10 years ago. Michelle continued to serve in a capacity that has had significant impact on the Dufferin-Peel community, both internally and in relationship with the broader education landscape at the local, provincial, and international levels. Michelle is steadfastly committed to the work and precepts of equity, steeped in Catholic faith and traditions, so that all her efforts tend toward uplifting the dignity of all students, staff, parents, and multiple partners and stakeholders. She has represented Dufferin-Peel exceptionally well and has always ensured that our collective efforts have been such that they would highlight the work of the system and promote genuine inclusion. Michelle's focus and drive was always students and making sure that each and every one of them, especially those who are most marginalized, felt safe, loved, and were given every opportunity to reach their fullest potential. Michelle's commitment and dedication to equity, diversity, and inclusion has benefited countless students, families, and school communities, and will be one of her greatest hallmarks. While she will be missed, her leadership will be felt for years to come. We wish her all the best in her future endeavors.
Thank you. Are there any, oh, could I have a mover?
No, you don't need it.
Oh, I don't, or even this one. Okay. All right, could I have any comments, any thoughts? No, could I pass on the chair to Vice Chair Thomas Douglas? Sorry. I just want to say to thank Michelle. Michelle has been very helpful to me in dealing with some areas that we've dealt with in some of the advocacy group that we deal with. And she's always there as a resource for us whenever we have questions. So And he was my vice principal actually for a few years at St. Julia and St. Veronica at church. So we do accept her resignation with regrets, and we wish her all the best. She will definitely be missed. Thank you.
Through the chair, we're moving to section H, which is trustee committee administration reports requiring action. H1 is the motion recommended by the audit committee of September 12, 2023.
Okay, the motion is that the Board of Trustees approve the audit service plan for the year ended August 31, 2023. Could I have a mover, please? Who's in the audit committee? Moved by trustee Bruno Yanika, seconded by trustee Thomas. All in favor? Any opposed? Are you voting in favor, Darrell? I think you're a little behind. In favor, yes.
Yeah, I think there's a lag, so you probably see my hand by the time you reach a post.
Yeah. I did, that's why I wanted to make sure. So you are in favor. Thank you.
I
Terry?
thought you had telepathy. You can agree, assume what the vote was gonna be.
Right.
H2, yes, H2 are the motions recommended by the Administration and Finance Committee of September 12, 2023.
Okay, H2, the motion is, there are two motions, so is it in the will of the trustees to vote on this two, or do you want it separated?
Split them, Madam Chair.
Separate?
Split them,
Separate.
trustee
Okay.
asks.
Separate. So the first motion is that the Board of Trustees approve the Dufferin-Peel Catholic District School Board's Capital Priority Submission 2023-2024, consisting of the new Mount Pleasant Catholic Secondary School. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
But you have to have a mover and seconder.
Moved and
Oh,
seconded.
sorry, did I not have a mover?
No.
Oh, sorry. I just want to get on. Could I have a mover, please? I'm so sorry. Moved by trustee Stefano Pascucci, seconded by trustee Anisha Thomas. So let's try the vote again. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Thank you. The second motion is that the Board of Trustees approve the procedural bylaw and enact as amended. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by trustee Bria Corbett, seconded by trustee Maria Pascucci.
Thank you.
All in favor? Any opposed? Are you voting for favor or opposed, Mario?
No, I didn't.
Okay, you're just
Bring it
late.
down.
You're just late. Thank you. Carried. Madam Director.
Through the chair, H3 are the 2023-2024 Oxta membership fee and Friends and Advocates of Catholic Education levy. Executive Superintendent Chair Paca.
Good evening.
Sorry, but a little close.
No, I'm good. You can hear me, I'm sure. The report this evening
Can you-
presents the annual membership fee from the Ontario Catholic School Trustees Association, otherwise known as Oxta, and the annual Friends and Advocates for Catholic Education levy. The board policy requires that the Board of Trustees approve the payment of these fees annually. The formula has not changed from prior years, which includes a basic fee and an enrollment portion. As Dufferin-Peel Catholic District School Board has experienced a decline in enrollment, the membership fee is lower than the previous year. The enrollment decline also impacts the face levy, which is lower than the previous year. The 2023-24 operating budget includes an allocation to support these payments.
Are there any questions, clarification? Trustee Maria Pascucci?
Remembering a while back, the face costs. They're supposed to be separate than they are here. The fact of the matter is, down the road, if we're having declining enrollments or the other boards, here across the province. And the question I'm going to ask is, what's going to happen and where does the stops happen? Where in fact we as a group of 29 boards can no longer afford what we have here, or what we're getting. So the question is this being addressed at all in terms of future expenditures and incomes at the trustee level, so at the.
At the Oxford level?
Yeah.
Yes,
It is? Okay,
yes,
thank you.
it is. And I think as Superintendent Paka mentioned, that it is lower than the previous years.
Yes, I realize that, but
Yeah.
then with that comes the cost.
Yeah.
Where are we gonna get the money to supply?
Through the chair, well, the face levy for Duffer Peel has gone down because of enrollment. Other Catholic boards across the province have seen a significant increase in enrollment, especially the further west and the further east that you go in the province. So it's not that Catholics are on a decline, it's that they're moving throughout the province.
Thank you.
Are you good, Trustee Pascucci?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So we have two motions here. No other questions? No? Okay, so Trustee Darrell D'Souza, sorry. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is on this page 197. There's an example of savings for Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board. School Energy Coalition, 556,308. So we managed to save this amount because we are part of Oxstar? Or did we receive that as funds? Because we are part of Oxstar, or what is it? I mean, what savings did we make because we are part of Oxstar, where energy is concerned?
Are you going to answer it? So just a preliminary, Trustee Darrell D'Souza, because you're right, because being part of Oxstar, so they do it for the whole board. Executive Superintendent Chair Paka will make a comment.
Thanks. So through the chair, yes, there is a school energy coalition that Ox is part of, and then all school boards are part of it, Catholic School Board. So it's not savings we see dollar wise. What it is cost containment. So rather than our costs skyrocketing, they're being contained at a lower level. So it's being reported as savings to Dufferin Peel, which it is, but it's more in light of containing the costs to the board.
So is that because of our manager Edward Kai, or is it because Oxstar has done something and we managed to reduce our cost by $500,000?
So through the chair, I believe with the coalition work is setting natural gas fees and doing it more as a conglomerate together. So when all the school boards go together, we get reduced fees. So we get better pricing for our natural gas resources. So a little bit, I guess, in conjunction with what Edward Kai is doing. I mean, he's also putting in efficiencies and trying to change the way we look at use of energy across the system. But this in itself is more about the costs we're paying for energy resources like natural gas.
So $500,000 savings was there in our bills for natural gas because we got a better rate than the market.
So through the chair.
Is that how Oxford has calculated it, or what?
Through the chair, I haven't proved these numbers that came in from Oxta. I'd have to go back and ask them where they got their numbers from.
Yeah, if we can share some information around that in our issues and events, that would be helpful, please.
Yeah,
No problem.
we will.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Darrell D'Souza. Are there any other questions?
Procedural matter is in fact the holding back until we get the final numbers from, I'm holding back until we get the final numbers from Julie, or do we approve it now and just accept what's due?
Any comments for you? Do we hold back?
And we'll
What
go
will
back one
be
by
the,
one. I would take it.
I guess the question is, what will be the difference?
Yes,
If we hold back, will it make a big difference or?
So through the chair, from what I gather, I'd just be sharing information. It's not going to make a change in any of your annual membership fees or the face levy. It'd just be information as to where this figure of savings came from.
it's fine.
So we will call the vote.
Thank you. Madam Chair.
Thank you. So we have again two motions. We will do it again separately, or can we do it together?
Separately, Madam Chair.
Just checking. Okay, the first motion is that the Board of Trustees approve payment of the 2023-2024 Ontario Catholic School Trustees Association membership fee of $173,856.35. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Trustee Mary Pascucci, seconded by Trustee Sharon Xavier. Sorry, Lara. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. The second item is that the Board of Trustees approve payment of the 2023-2024 Friends and Advocates of Catholic Education levy of $9,733.71. Moved by Trustee Daryl D'Souza. Is that okay? Seconded by Trustee Stefano Pascucci. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next item.
Through the chair, there is nothing under additional business. We're moving to section J, which is questions asked by trustees.
Okay. Question asked by trustees. I have Trustee Bruno Ianica, Trustee Bria Corbett, Trustee Stefano Pascucci, Trustee Sean Xavier, Trustee Mario Pascucci. Anybody else? Okay, let's start with Trustee Bruno Ianica, please.
Madam Chair, I have multiple questions, but I'll ask three and go
Okay.
to the back of the line.
Okay.
I had a couple of questions from SEAC, from the SEAC committee meeting. A member of SEAC wanted to know if parental involvement can be used during shortages of educational resource workers.
Through the chair, Superintendent Strauss will respond to that question.
Thank you. Through the chair, we always welcome any help that we can get. However, we do require certain levels of security and testing, as well as ensuring that the people in front of our students have a little bit of experience, even if they are just augmenting our staff. So what I would suggest is that if they are interested at all, that they approach the school and they ask for an emergency instructor package in which we can screen them and onboard them and have them in the schools with the proper pay.
Thank you. Second, CLASP has a waiting list for children with special needs, whereas there is no waiting list in some schools for children without special needs. Is that a fact? And if so, why?
Through the chair, Superintendent Matthew Thomas had to step out. Could I ask we defer that question if we're not?
Yeah.
He's just dealing with the crowds.
Yeah,
And
Defer that one and come back to it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can come back, at the very end, when it comes back.
Yeah.
Busing for special needs does not allow courtesy ridership, right? Courtesy seating, whereas regular busing does. Parents would like better access. Further to this question, how much more would it cost to allow non-special needs children to ride with their siblings? Would this be a policy change by trustees? Would a policy change by trustees be required?
So through the chair, I can start that one. We don't have the cost for the transportation because it'll all depend on who's taking advantage of that and the number of courtesy riders there. But historically, it's more of a governance issue with Stop Bar that we've never allowed, or I don't say never allowed. We review a few cases annually of courtesy ridership on special needs buses when it's determined that the sibling of the special needs rider requires some sort of assistance. So we work with the school, we work with their special education department, we work with the team that we've assembled to determine the extent to which that's required. So we have approved them in the past, it's just not a blanket rule going forward. And the reason why, for you trustees anyway, the reason why is that special needs buses are one in high demand, they're smaller buses, they're heavily modified. And we have a number of students on these buses right across the spectrum. And for the safety of the students on the bus, we try not to bring anything else into that environment that doesn't need to be there, including courtesy ridership.
So my question remains, does a policy by trustees need to be put forward or requested in order for, if the policy is the policy of the Dufferin Field Catholic District School Board approved by 6 of 11, 7 of 11, or whatever that number is, and we, if approved, stop our would impose our desire to have siblings ride.
So I don't know, Superintendent Thomas is here, but we can tag team on this one.
Yes, thank you. And I apologize for missing the initial part of the question. Through the chair, I would note that currently courtesy ridership as a whole is governed under stop our procedures. And that's probably where it is best left. What happens with respect to special education buses, as Associate Director Del Bianco already mentioned, is that there are some additional limitations that have to be evaluated with respect to providing courtesy ridership for siblings because of the challenges around the size of the bus, potential challenges that might impact other students on the bus. And at this point, the way that the process works, if there is a request that's put forward, it does come into stop our management, and it's also reviewed by the stop our administrative team, which includes myself and my counterpart at the Peel District School Board. And we review those on a case-by-case basis. And so that process does seem to be working fairly well. We have heard in the past from trustees about the hope that we would be able to allow more siblings to ride with their special needs siblings on those buses. And so I've relayed that information and that request to stop our management to try and see what can be done. And so it does get evaluated on a case-by-case basis. We do need the school to also be supportive of that. They know the needs of all of the children on those buses. We want to make sure that the environment for all on the bus is safe if we introduce somebody else.
If I could follow up, Madam Chair, on that.
Okay.
This is more of a, and I experienced this at Mary Fix with a child with special needs and a twin that is not. The child with special needs gets a bus. The child that does not. So the mother has to go pick up or picks up her child, but can't be there and here at the same time. So one of them is going to be late. And the same would be true whether a child is not a twin. I know that we've asked this question a million times, if not two. I want to close it off, to be quite honest with you. I want to close it off so that we have a definitive answer on yes, we will, or trustees can, yes, we will, because trustees voted for it, and now Stop Bar has to implement it. And if that's the case, which I believe it is, if we implement a distance of 0.2 for a JK, Stop Bar has to implement it. We pay the cost, but Stop Bar has to implement it. I get this question 100 times a month without a word of a lie. I get this more times than Carter has pills. And I know I said to this parent, I understand. And the mother said, I can't make it to two places at the same time. That's the issue. It's not because they just want to ride the bus. It's not. The father sometimes says, if I come home early, I pick them both up. They don't take the bus. And this is where it is a challenge. Great. You know, there might not be enough room. Okay, so now I've got parents that, and I get the small bus. I get the need. I think we all do, because I think when I ask this question, I'm asking for 10 others. I believe I am. I may be wrong. If I'm not, I apologize to my trustees that don't. But we need to come up with something that works. Because right now, for parents like this family, it ain't working. For parents that sit on SEAC, some of them have children that are far gone, but like gone in the sense that out of the school system, But for those children that have children, now, I'm not saying, let's give the bus ride to children right up until grade 12. No. Until a certain point, when that child can walk home, then so be it. Whether it be grade 4, whether it be grade 3, grade 6, grade 7, I don't care. We can come up with that number, that grade. I'm not looking for a free ticket from JK to whenever. That's not what I'm looking for. That would not be right from my eyes, because if the child can walk home, the one that is not special needs. And I get excited, so my apologies if my voice is raised, but I'll be honest with you. I get this question so many times, and it's always about busing, and it's always in September, but with SEAT, it's every month. It's every month. And it's usually from the same couple of people, and everybody else agrees. And if Superintendent Papaloni was here, she'd say, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Because it is. Their question was simple. Like, what do I need to do? And Superintendent Thomas, I appreciate every time that you answer that question for me. I should have it in a file that says, Superintendent Thomas, Transportation SEAC. I should, and I apologize because I send it to you more often than I should. But we send them to Stop R. Stop R is the judge and jury. No, they don't. Okay, so what do you want me to do with my child? Help me out and help me understand how I'm supposed to get my child at school, home, to meet the bus, or the bus me to be there when the bus gets home. I can again, repeating myself, I can understand if the child is in grade 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I get that. I don't get it when they're junior, senior, 1, 2, maybe even 3. Like,
So, Associate Director.
Associate Director.
So through the chair, I understand the special needs component of it. I think having sat in Matthew's position for a few years, it's not just special needs. It's split up by grades. There's JK walkers that changes at different grades. So everybody would like the ability, when they don't qualify for busing, to qualify for busing or be on a bus in some capacity. Because at the end of the day, it makes it more convenient in many cases. So it's not only special needs students, it's all students, all families, both school boards. With regards to answering the question specifically about the policy, Stop R is the consortium that works for both school boards. It exists as a Stop R procedure, and while different people can look to amend their own policy, what we ultimately have to do is there's a ad hoc committee, because whatever we do for transfer, we've never actually had the ad hoc committee. We designate people to the ad hoc committee that's represented by trustees on both sides, because anything that we do when we talk about changing walking distances, unless we're aligning, needs to go to that committee, because it's going to have a significant impact on both sides, right? It's going to be, if we open it up for courtesy ridership for special needs students, then the appeal board will. So Stop R is kind of the balancing act in between the two to keep both in check. So it unfortunately isn't as simple as trustees amending their policy. We have to pull this ad hoc committee together and review it on both sides of the street to see what the impact is, with the financial impact and the impact on ridership as a whole, and routes and runs and all that.
and just to clarify, I don't believe that money grows on trees, especially FPL. Well, it grows on trees, but it grows on trees for a 3-letter word. So LTD. I get it. I know the hardship that every department is under to make ends meet. I get it. I understand it wholeheartedly, and I preach it every council meeting that I go to at every school of this board that I represent, and in some cases with colleagues. So we understand it. Believe me, this has been, if we come up with an answer that is palatable, answer no just doesn't work anymore. Give me a rationale, you know, like, okay, you have a special need bus, it has 3 empty seats. Okay, 3 people are gonna get on, but 5 of you want on. 2 of you are gonna be disappointed. Why can that child not attend? The rationale. So get Stop R to write out the rationale. I mean, I'd love to have Stop R come to a SEAC meeting. I would more than love it. Like, give them the rationale. Ask your question, you know, Mrs. So-and-so, because I know which Mrs. So-and-so it's gonna be. Ask the question, give the answer. I'm happy with that.
So through the chair, first of all, I think that's an excellent suggestion. We can certainly take you up or take SEAC up on that invitation. Should they extend the invitation to Stop Our management, I can certainly arrange for that to happen. I think that's an excellent suggestion, and I think it'll bring some clarity to the whole issue. I don't know if it'll necessarily satisfy everybody, but at least hopefully it will bring some perspective as to some of the operational concerns that Stop R has. And we also need to be mindful, and again, I understand where the question is coming from, and we're all very sympathetic. We want to be compassionate, but we also have to be mindful that in some cases, there may be some children on that vehicle who are eligible to ride, who may be impacted in an adverse way. Not saying that's the case in every situation, but there may be some, and then we need to make sure we examine those situations carefully. And that's why I said earlier, it might be helpful to also have the school weigh in. They know the children on the bus, and they can also support decisions. And as I said earlier as well, Trustee Anika, that I have represented this concern. I know the chair of the board had also requested that we take it back. And I can attest that to the fact that we've already been able to put a few students on this year who were not previously being, had not been previously granted courtesy ridership as siblings of special needs students. So we're starting to move in the right direction. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, further to what Associate Director said, is that there is a process in place. We will continue to work through what we can do on our end. It does affect both boards, and we're going to have to continue to give that some consideration. But in the meantime, you know, we'll do what we can to advocate where it makes sense and where we have all the information and there's a proper assessment done. And we'll also certainly consider the invitation, if there's an invitation to SEAC to respond to questions.
In the December, we're in September, October. I will formally, without speaking as chair, I would ask staff to formally invite Stop R to the November meeting. That way, you know, gives them 2 months to prepare. Next month is probably on its way. I just want to close this out, to be quite honest with you, because again, I won't speak for 10, but I probably could in the respect that it's a constant ask, right? So if I can go back to my second question, which was superintendent.
Superintendent.
Class has a waiting list for children with special needs, whereas there is no waiting list for children without special needs. Is that a fact? And if so, why?
Associate Director Amaral.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the question, Trustee Anika. That should not be the case, and if we hear of a certain situation, we can definitely support.
And if a parent has that scenario, then I can relay it back to staff.
Absolutely.
Okay. Perfect. I'll wait for the next round, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Bria Corbett.
Yes, thank you, and through the chair. I did have a question to Trustee Bruno's point. That's okay, just about the spec.
That's a follow-up.
Need, yes. So what do parents in that case need to do? Because thank you, Superintendent Thomas, you mentioned there was a process. I don't know if that process has been communicated to parents and if, or schools for that matter, in order for them to collaborate with the families and Stop R and yourself. So is there a way we know that process and can communicate that process better to the families that it was.
So through the chair, it would start as a courtesy ridership request, similar to any other student asking for courtesy, or any other family asking for courtesy ridership for one of their students. It starts there, and then the school would communicate that information on to STOPR. I believe the special education department also is looped in along the way to make sure that the special education consultant for that school also has a chance to evaluate the request and before it does come to STOPR. And then at that point, it is a matter of STOPR management then looking at the specifics, looking at the capacity of the bus, available seats on the bus, and then reaching back out to the school just to confirm if there are any other students on the bus who are eligible, who may be potentially adversely impacted by the inclusion of another student, that information is captured within the final decisions.
Thank you, Superintendent. Thanks, Thomas. And through the chair, is there a separate courtesy ridership form for special education? Or the parents would fill out the same form, which then goes to the school, which goes to STOPR?
Through the chair, that's my understanding. It's a similar form. I'll have to double check just to make sure there isn't another one, but I don't believe there's a special form for courtesy ridership for special needs students, for siblings. And if you go to the actual STOPR procedures, generally speaking, the overarching statement is that sibling courtesy ridership is not generally granted. Yeah, unless there are exceptional circumstances, right? And they are evaluated on a case-by-case basis. That's kind of the baseline. And then exceptions are granted depending on the individual circumstances.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. May I proceed with my?
Yes, you can proceed with your question.
Okay, through the chair. So I'm sorry, my question is about courtesy bus ridership, but not special education. So there.
Just want the mayor.
Thank you, everybody.
A lot of hot air in this room.
Sorry, through the chair. So my question is also on courtesy ridership, but not special education. So I've been told by parents that Halton Catholic has a different process for assigning courtesy ridership, and it's actually done earlier in the year. So parents are apparently sent a link in June. This is for Halton Catholic, and where they can request courtesy ridership, and then they are informed by the first day or on the first day in September of school if they have a seat. So parents don't have this same waiting process as you do. It's organized through Halton Transportation Department. So to my knowledge, it's not involving school administrators at all. Likely easier because it's a smaller board, but would someone be able to follow up with Halton Catholic and just to learn more about their process, see if there's anything that we could gain from that, maybe to improve timelines for our families? I know we've made some gains in terms of upping that process, but perhaps there's something more we can do.
So through the chair, thank you for the question. So I will note that STOPR management is already in the process of dialoguing with their counterparts of the Halton Student Transportation Consortium. Trustee Corbett is correct. Their system is, or their consortium is much smaller in terms of size. Part of the challenge that we would face is making sure that we sift through and sort through all of the student changes that happen. Especially, a lot of them happen over the course of the summer. And if we were to put in an arbitrary, let's say, end of June cutoff, then you may inadvertently exclude a whole bunch of students potentially who might become eligible or might be entered into the system for the first time over the summer months. And by September, we may be only finding out about them registering with us for the first time. And then we'd be telling the parents, sorry, courtesy is not open for you. So we will take that, like I said, Stop Our Management is looking at it. It is a significant amount of changes we received. The first couple of weeks of the school year are hectic, very dynamic with a lot of different changes. There's a lot of shifting of stop changes, eligible riders being put on for the first time. And I think that by and large, moving to the third week of September to actually start the process is a huge improvement for us. My hope is that by the end of September, we have most of the assigned courtesy seat riders already on board. So we'll take that back for further evaluation, but my hunch is that we will probably be, Stop Our Management will probably want to stay with what we've got for now.
Thank you for following. I appreciate it. Thank you. Any other questions? Trustee Stefano Pastucci.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For you, back to, I was going to ask this last, but since we're all talking about busing, can we ensure that Chipmunk is rolled out to the northern schools as well, a lot quicker than maybe the southern schools because of the safety factor, and having kids standing in the dark on the side of the road waiting for a bus?
Through the chair by northern, do you mean Caledon?
So like where there's higher, yeah, so Caledon would be where there's faster speed limits and less lights, basically.
So through the chair, we have included Caledon School among the pilot schools. That information was shared with trustees. Those two schools.
Yeah, and I started thinking, when are they looking at having that rolled out?
Through the chair, we're hoping for early 2024.
Like school year 2024
no,
or January?
Like calendar year 2024. That's my hope. What we need to do, or what Stop Our needs to do, is expand the number of schools included in the pilot. I think they need to continue to add more schools, make sure everything runs well before taking it into a full system launch. So, I will continue to keep trustees apprised.
Thank you.
Progress.
Next question. I've noticed that, and I don't expect an answer right away, but for issues. Cafeterias. I understand that through issues and events that the cafeteria providers are supposed to provide or get students' feedback on how we're doing and so on and so forth. In issues and events, if you could just tell us how many schools have done it or when they're planning on doing it. Like these surveys, and also second part of that question is will trustees receive information regarding the feedback from students?
So through the chair, I know in issues and events, the information included the requirement of the contract is that they will have to do a survey by the end of the first year. Like you have to give them some time to get in, right? The feedback on the ground from students interacting is something that we're encouraging the schools, the administrators, the staff, the cafeteria providers to do on their own, because that's where they're going to get better feedback on a faster way. So what I can do is we're actually on site at the schools every day. We have staff going in to check cafeterias, see what's happening, what needs to move along faster, or deal with any issues if there are any. We'll do some interacting to see how they're going to do that engagement, and then I'll report back to issues and events.
Thank you. And I guess the second part of that question is, will trustees receive that information?
So through the chair, as much as I can in issues and events, I'll share.
Thank you.
The survey, yes, once the survey is done, we'll absolutely share that too. But again, that's going to be much later into this year.
Yeah, I would hope that they would do it earlier, because if they're selling hamburgers and everybody wants chicken burgers, then they would serve chicken burgers, then we will buy more. So hopefully they can do it earlier than later, so at least they can get their clientele's wishes, which is our students. So I appreciate it. So whatever information you get, thank you. Just a question regarding the procedural bylaw. I know we just approved it, but just to sort of go back to my previous question that had been in finance. If I remember correctly, I asked the question regarding how many times or what is the requirement for trustees to be in person. at meetings. Is that, I guess, two parts of this question. Is it just board meetings? And if so, how many times do trustees meet in person? Or is it every meeting as? And apologies for not giving the information to the question.
That's okay. Through the chair, it would pertain to your regular board meetings, not your standing committee meetings. And the regulation identifies that 3 times out of a 12-month calendar year, a trustee is required to be in person. So a minimum of 3 times out of 12.
Thank you. Remember asking that question because I don't believe, I remember
It's not explicit.
the answer I got was that basically you didn't have to be.
Yeah.
Can we ensure that's in our bylaw? And if it isn't, can we bring it to our bylaw meeting in October?
It is there because it references the regulation.
The regulation, okay, perfect. Okay.
And so the reason why
Well, it can
we
change.
just said,
It can change.
you know, we're compliant with the regulation, or you're compliant with the regulations, it can change.
Okay.
But if you go to the regulation would identify a minimum of 3 in
Okay.
person.
And that's perfect. So don't worry about bringing it back. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Mario Pastucci.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple of questions have already been offered and answered, and one of them is the idea of accommodating the students in buses, so we'll wait for the reports, but a couple of things. First, to staff, Daniel and Matthew, regarding Saint Sophia. I'd like to get an understanding what the status is right now with Saint Sophia with essentially what's occurring now and what has changed from February of last year, the last academic year. So in Saint Sophia, what I'd like to know is there a plan to maybe go to the school, do a staff presentation, et cetera? What are the plans for Saint Sophia specifically?
So through the chair, we'd be happy to attend a Catholic School Council meeting, and we will also be putting an update into issues and events with updates on enrollment, the current status of students who have come from Ukraine, where they're attending different government field schools, as was asked previously. Let's see, Trent.
So if I can add to that, we've made a effort to go out to the community and continuously, whether we're out there at school council, Catholic School Council meetings, or we're providing them with updates. We will continue to do that through this coming school year, because at some point we're going to have to make a plan for next September. What we've continuously heard when we went out is that enrollment was going to continue to go up and go up and go up. And the reality is we just haven't seen that enrollment from the last time we were out at that school community, which I think was early November. Was it November? Was that? Was enrollment's actually gone down, right? So we're doing some investigation as to why it's gone down, and people gone back to their home schools. People returned to Ukraine, like there's a number of factors there. People left St. Sophia and gone to their local community schools. So there's a couple of things, but our commitment is to get back out there again. We're only in the second week of school, so we've got to let things settle for a little bit. And we'll have our discussion here as to whether or not last year the strategy was whatever spots were open at whichever grades, including JK, we'll just take students in until we meet the cap. Because St. Sophia, as we've come to learn, works best when its enrollment is around 600. Last year, I believe, was up in the mid 600s, and it really put a lot of stress on the available space in the building. So what we'll do is determine what is actually happening at the school, gather some more information from the administrator at the school, and then go back out to that school community to let them know what we've seen over the course of the last year and what the plan is for next year. And the reason why we went out in November is because JK registration for the school was in February, so we had to let them know what was going on.
If I may, Madam Chair, the questions they were offered last night, and it was a very good meeting in the sense it was just basically a meet and greet, but then it evolved into a conversation relative to accommodation, what have you. I think they're now at 20 less than the projection, but they're within the range that was anticipated. So, I mean, that's something you have to work with. But the concern is that, do they have at the school the proper, and you've told me, and yes, and I know you would tell me yes, in the sense that happen. But they actually have support for children, for students that need the help because of language issues, like the stress, what have you. I sincerely hope that any decision, and I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but I hope any decision will be made with the Toronto Catholic in the sense of the numbers that they may have seen leave their community schools, comes to visiting rate. I agree there's 20 or 30 students that have left. A number have gone back to homeland. So it isn't a state of luck. So I'm glad that's happening. Thank you very, very much. St. Sophia, part 2 is the idea regarding the portables. And they had a concern regarding portables and their malfunction. Did anybody go in there to take a look at them recently and report back to the school?
So through the chair, the issue around the portables at St. Sophia, and I would offer at many other schools of our ward, certainly came to light in a more acute way with respect to the surge in temperature the first couple of days of school, and I suspect with next week's forecast, we may hear a few more similar inquiries. But yes, to answer your question, Trustee Piscucci, the portables have been inspected by our maintenance team. If there are any other concerns, we always ask staff to put in a work order request to ensure that our maintenance team do kind of and have a look if they're investigating.
By the way, just I should have mentioned right from the top, I've asked the principal last night to invite staff at the appropriate time when there's information to be given. I just don't want a meeting for meeting's sake. If I may, Madam Chair, continue on this. And there is at Rathburn and Pony Trail, there's a Longos. And what's happening is that for the next 2 years, that whole community, that whole area is going to be in turmoil. And I sent an email earlier to give you a bit of an idea on this one. I know they're working with the city. The city is just, I understand, approved, and I'm going to have to check the information, has approved the crossing guards. And so if you can just follow up to make sure that our infrastructure, including whoever we talk to, make sure they're in place, because it's a 2-year change and there's going to be issues to be dealt with. And this is going and coming from St. Martha Mary School and what have you. If I may, Madam Chair, the crosswalk is the one they're talking about there, and it's just in front of the Longos. Something happened this recently, if I may, Madam Chair, that I know there's no specific answer that's easy to work with, but it's something. A student who is self-taught in a number of languages and is very successful in developing those languages recently enrolled in an Italian class at Philip Pocock. And I don't know what to say or how to do it. I know we're going to have to reinvest and look at the entire numbers situation, et cetera. But apparently the classroom was been run because there was only 2 students, and that's understandable. The parents have been very good about it. They registered the child in Saturday classes, whatever, and that collapsed. So the parents are beside themselves. I know the superintendent's done a great job trying to connect with them, et cetera. Through you, Madam Chair, then, if I may, to the director, how would you see this playing itself out? Because we have, I know you can't just deliver for 1 student, 2 students is the critical mass, if you will. But the fact of the matter is that we need to know, these people would like to know prior, but how can we work something out? I don't need an answer right now, but just some kind of idea.
Through the chair, we can take that back and look at it. We can see whether or not broadly throughout the entire district, whether there's enough interest for one particular language. I know you were talking about Italian in this case. And if in fact, excuse me, there is interest, whether or not there's different modes of being able to deliver that. Is that something that maybe we could deliver online to maximize perhaps making a class to a number of students across the region? So we'll take it back and look at it and perhaps put a follow-up in issues.
And she's self-taught through Rosetta Stone. And that's quite an accomplishment. It seems 2, 3 languages. It's quite an accomplishment. So I'm glad that could happen. Do you have somebody right after me?
Yes.
Okay.
So have you done your 3 questions?
Okay, that's what I would say. I have my 3 done, so I don't want to go in my 4th. I mean, I can have a question if I don't in a second. Please do the next 3.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
I'm
Thank you for
really
your indulgence.
I'm really going back to Trustee Ayanika now for his next question. After that,
Madam Chair, I'm gonna talk about something that I've talked about before, and it doesn't seem to have significantly helped. And maybe we need something a little stronger, so that's my question. First of all, I was at St. Timothy's one evening in the area of Florian, which is a cul-de-sac. People, parents of St. Timothy's, parents of this particular school, seem to think that they can park at the end of people's driveways and go get their kid, leaving their car at the end of people's driveway. And when they come out and say, I need to go to work, I need to go get my kid, it's, I'm only gonna be a minute. Too bad. I stood there, the principal put pylons, which deferred a few. One gentleman, a grandfather, came to me. I said, I'm sorry, sir, you can't park here. Which I got quickly told where to go and what I could do with this. Numerous times. The gentleman came out of the car, came right up to me, started pointing his finger and yelling. And I said to him, and there were parents that were watching, why are you yelling at me? I'm just here to ensure the safety of kids, which I got told where to go and what to do with myself. I have had situations in schools where parents think that they can walk in and own the school. And because our administrators are afraid of doing or saying anything, I would like a policy that would give the admin staff in our schools to issue a letter written by our solicitors in cases where they do not follow the basic rules of respect for rules. It would be a warning. The second one would be too bad, so sad, you're off school property. I do not have a problem with that. I do not have a challenge or an opportunity with telling parents that. If I have to hear it, I experienced it firsthand myself. Under normal circumstances, I may have done something different, but I knew where he was coming from. I understood frustration. I had a couple of other parents, not more than 3, just call me a variety of different names, which was okay. I mean, I get paid these big bucks to take it. And so I don't have a problem with it. But I am getting tired. And our principals feel so beat up that they can't do anything, that they can hardly wait to leave. And I'm not just saying this because it affects the question, it affects the answer. I'm telling you, they are fed up. When you go on your school visits, I would wonder how many would actually share that with you. I don't know if they would share that sense of honesty with you because you're the director. Some have openly, not that they're afraid in any way, shape, or form, they just don't want to say anything in a negative fashion. But in reality, some of the principals that have retired, they've had it. They had it and they left the board. And some of the principals that we have, and one of them shocked the living daylights out of me, said, "End of this year, I'm gone." And I'm thinking, you gotta be kidding me. And we need, I drove right by the doctor's office. I've been there a gazillion times. I think I would have taken a darn picture of what's there. But it clearly says, if you do not have respect for our staff, find yourself another doctor. And I will take that picture and I will send it to you so that you have a view of it. But I am tired of hearing what secretaries and staff have to go through, not to mention the teachers, the superintendents. And I know this associate and the associate directors and the director are not immune to it. They're not special in any way, shape, or form, so they get it as well. So I would like to have a policy come back on what the feasibility is. Question number one. Schools of this board that I represent, recently at one of the schools of this board I represent, had graffiti written in the back. Unfortunate graffiti, or fortunate in the sense that it was chalk and was easily cleaned, but it made reference to a young lady, and it made reference to a sector of our constituents that was not complimentary. I know in coming through the school, because I met James Ryan, which I will give a shout out to because he was there on a Sunday, as was the principal. And I noticed up top, I don't know why it caught my eye, there was a camera there. Now I'm wondering why we could not put a camera at the back of the building and run it. Same camera, wire right to where it would connect, and just put it in the back to connect to see all of these. So that would be my question.
Superintendent Thomas?
Thank you, through the chair. In terms of adding another camera to the back of every elementary school, if that is the question from Trustee Anika. Our chief security officer actually did source out a quote through the company that installs all of our closed circuit surveillance cameras. The cost would be in the neighborhood of about $6,000 to $7,000 per camera, so basically per school, to add another camera to the rear of the school. The other cost, though, that may be included above and beyond that cost is the fact that the server upon which our front door camera system runs, which also has a monitor at the secretary's at the front secretary's office, front desk, that server has a limited capacity. I asked Chief Security Officer DeBraj if the addition of another camera in the back could just be piggybacked onto the server that's there already for the front door camera. He said the capacity of the server may be compromised if we didn't add another server to manage that. So what I'm trying to get at, Trustee Anika, is that there would likely be an additional kind of ICT related cost above and beyond just wiring and hooking up another camera to the back of the school. So when you look at it on a school by school basis, it may not seem like much, but when you add it across our entire system of 125 elementary schools, that's close to $1 million.
Okay. My last question, and I've asked this before, I will ask it again. I asked it again, and because I hate to do the repeat and repeat, but I have to, I'm going to ask it again. I had requested a number of years ago, as other trustees had agreed and thought it was a good idea, as the director, about if a letter goes out to to any community, this board that we represent, that at the bottom, it should be CC whoever the trustee is or the trustees are. I have seen that happen once, and it was this week from a principal, and I just got it. Not from any of the other ones at all. Now, I'm not going to say that I specifically went to the bottom, but I went to the bottom to look, and all it had was principal's name. That was it. So I understand you can bring the horse to water. You can't make them drink, but this is not a tremendous request. This is a CC, whoever the trustee is. It's not a big ask. In my eyes, it's not a big ask. I think it's a very minor ask because you're sending it out anyway. So any letter that you have, you just do a whatever and you CC the trustees. Can staff ask staff again to ask for the minor change in their letters, please.
Through the chair, we will. Okay,
And Madam Chair, I have two questions, if I could, in camera.
Okay.
I'm done.
To that question, we have speakers to that item. So we have trustee Stefano and trustee Priya Corbett and trustee Moore.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, am I first?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To Bruno's question, can we, I was recently, and this is regarding sending out information, having us included. Recently I was at one of my schools and the secretary asked if she received the my newsletter that I sent out, your school messenger. She told me that, I said, well, I did not, and she said that she would look into it and make sure that she lets me know when she sent it out. Or when she's figured it out, but she told me she had to go to ICT to get us added on to their school messenger accounts. Can we ask ICT to look at, like, is it, who controls who gets added to the school messengers? The school or is it ICT? If it's ICT, can we have ICT make sure that our schools are all around our schools? Not going to speak to anybody else. If you don't want it, then tell them not to. But if it's something that's in the front end where the secretary is going to do, can we have ICT explain or provide like a little PDF thing that how to add it?
we'll follow up.
Thank you.
I think Associate Director.
Oh, no, so just to clarify, I mean, ICT will do anything that we require them to do, it's just the way that it's configured, right? So they're not controlling or limiting anything. If that's access that is required, then it's access.
You know, the comment from the secretary was, I have to speak to ICT. If you're not on it, I have to speak to ICT to get you on it. I don't know why we have to put 15 people to get me on an email account.
Yeah, no, it's not that. I mean, through the chair, just we've had our own examples. The more access you provide to any mailbox that involves all, the more risk there is for accidents to send stuff to all. So we've had to pull back on that a little bit and provide access at kind of different levels so that we can control it. But I will take anyone away for it.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Corbett.
Thank you, and through the chair, so to both of those points. It's happened to me too, although I have just been letting each administrator know, by the way, like just individually, can you include, by the way, can you include me? I think there was some miscommunication initially because they thought by including us CC so that we're getting the information, they misunderstood that they were also supposed to type CC at the bottom. So I think that has been kind of broken telephone. The other part of it is, I think our administrators, our secretaries are sending out so much information to parents and trying to get it out in a timely manner that they're forgetting to add us. Doesn't make it right, but it happens. I wonder, is there an opportunity for ICT to include our CC in the signature that's automated, so it's one less thing they have to think about? Is that feasible from a technology perspective?
Through the chair, I'm not sure whether or not they're just using a template letter locally for their school newsletters or communications. If that's the case, that's a very simple fix to say to the principals on your template letter below the principal, right? Put the CC and name the trustees so that you're always working off of that template letter. So we'll work that through with our schools. We have a webcast on Thursday to go over. We always have a webcast after the regular board meeting. It'll be an opportunity for us to just remind principals or request principals to ensure that that's addressed.
Thank you. And through the chair, I've explained it to administrators why it's important for us. It keeps us engaged in the information that's sent out to parents, so we know what's going on. It's also helpful for parents to know we've been copied on it, because it reduces the number of calls and emails I get that says, did you know this? Did you see this? I'm like, yes, because they can see that we're all on the same page in terms of communication.
for example, when we did the reorg and the combined classes, I got way less calls this time, not saying it was less reorg. But parents understood, I already knew the changes that were happening, so they didn't need to call me and say, can you switch me back to my previous teacher? So I think that's where it's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Mario Pascucci?
Yeah, if the picture could be fit in there, it'd be excellent, and that's. It'd be nice in terms of space or have you, but the name is perfect. That being said, in fact, this year so far, I've received more correspondence from my principals over the last 2 weeks than I had collectively in the first 3 months last time. So I'm glad that's moving, and that's really, really good. That's quite an encouragement. I have some questions, but when you recognize that, I'll be able to.
Okay, so let me just confirm.
No.
Trustee Anika, you're done with your open question?
I am, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Trustee Mario Pascucci?
Thank you. Question I'd ask is regarding class. Parent called me up, said that, you know, I can't, there's no class space, et cetera. And I said, well, and we said, this is not a board initiative, but we are tenant, they're a tenant and what have you. Then it occurred to me, I was saying, wait a minute, these individuals want to go there. Is there any way we can get them to go to a class? Now, we're recognizing that there's a minimum, there's staff issues as well. But over the next 5-10 years as a board, we have to look forward to our numbers. Related, whatever we're at now, we've lost a number of students. This group called class may be one of those feeder pools of votes and individuals that we can get to come to our schools. In other words, you go to class, you go to ABC Catholic school, there's an opportunity then you to become a regular student within the school, not just as a whole school. So something I'd like to consider that from a marketing perspective. I don't know if it's possible. The last item as well, regarding the region of Peel and its division. Has anything come back yet from whoever the powers are to do it? Because I know the act went through, but not the legal side.
So through the chair, thank you for the question. If you want, I can also speak to the last question if you wanted me to provide.
I think we can.
So through the chair, with respect to the Region of Peel Division, the transition board has been appointed by the provincial government, and they are working with the individual municipalities in the region as well as the regional government on the division of responsibilities. My understanding is that a preliminary report is to be provided to the provincial government later this fall. And that the actual conclusion of that division will be the end of December 2024. So effective January 2025, we should see the new, or the division of the region be official.
Thank you.
To this point, Trustee Stefano Pascucci?
Thank you. Realizing how we are called Dufferin Peel and Peel will no longer be around. Will the government be subsidizing our costs to change everything from signs to letterheads to stamps to emails, websites, you name it?
So I would just offer through the chair, I would just note that, I don't believe that we've had any discussion here among the management team about that. I think it's a bit presumptuous or premature rather to go there. We're going to wait to see what happens with the region of Peel. There may be still some services that are offered on a regional basis that, the policing, paramedics, water, there's so from a purely, from the perspective purely of the name, I would also note that we've got an example over in Ottawa, the Ottawa Carleton District School Board. There no longer is a regional municipality of Ottawa Carleton. It's just the city of Ottawa. But that board has continued to maintain the name Ottawa Carleton District School Board. So, and the provincial government, the Ministry of Education has not, made any sort of decision to disallow the board from proceeding with that board name. So I don't want to necessarily state that there's any reason why there needs to be a change. Certainly if the ministry comes out through the director with any additional information on that, I'm sure we would communicate that.
Thank you. I didn't know, didn't occur to me about Ottawa Carleton, so thank you very much for that.
Trustee Mario Pascucci, are you done with your
Yes, ma'am.
question?
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Herman Gloria?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And through you, I would like an update on the plans for the LIP program,
Wait, which program?
the leadership identification program.
Oh, the leadership identification program. Associate Director Enro.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair, we are actually meeting with candidates who are going through the process next Wednesday here at the CDC. Currently, we have 130 people who are registered for that information session. We are going to be communicating to them a truncated process that we're going to be going through this year, where the seminar series that was traditionally on the front end of the actual process will be now on the back end, one after appointment. And so Superintendent Strong and Superintendent Brennan are working through that process with the hopes of running interviews early November for discernment and approval by Executive Council for placement and appointment of these individuals in either December board or January. Sorry, November board for December placement or December board for January.
Okay, could you give me an idea of how many are secondary and how many are elementary?
We don't have that information yet. We'll be able to glean that once the registration closes.
We can put that in issues and events.
We can,
Trustee
yes.
Lori.
Thank you.
Any other question? That's good. Thank you. Any other question? I would like to pass on chair to vice chair. I just have 3 items I just want to raise. First of all, a few weeks ago, I was driving around and I noticed in some of our schools, the Canadian flag is all beaten up. I just want to make sure that someone is going around making sure that our flag, Canadian flag, is not beat up. So I just want to make sure that that's.
Through the chair, we'll include that on the webcast as well. In fact, the schools themselves should take responsibility for ensuring they're keeping an eye on the flag and even ensuring that they've got extra flags at the school to, so that kind of respect that's shown for the flag. So we'll include that on the webcast.
Yes, thank you.
Just
To that point.
just exactly to that point, and the director's correct. I had a call from a parent, a former parent who had children within our system, and actually it was at Mary Fix. The parent said, you know, he was disappointed to see the shape of the flag. I had texted the principal because I texted her on Saturday, said, don't respond till Monday. I'm just, before I forget. Anyway, she sent an email back to me and the superintendent saying, we ordered it, we put it up on Friday. And so I followed up with the parent and said, if you walk by the school, you'll see it's done. And the response was, that was quick. And you're absolutely right, Director Mazzarato. The responsibility in this particular case, the principal took the responsibility, noticed, ordered it right, had it ordered right away, and it came, put it up right away. So, but yeah, that they just, it was a good news story from that perspective.
Yeah, that's good news. I was just driving around. I happened to pass by a few schools. I'm like, oh. My next question, Mr. Chair, actually, it's not a question. I had discussed this with Associate Director Del Bianco and Superintendent Matthew Thomas. It's the request from the city or from a resident requesting the city to have a playground near the St. Dunstan area. So as you know, we closed St. Dunstan, but it's being used for adult education at St. Dunstan's, right? So it turned out that area, that whole area of around St. Dunstan, they do not have a playground. So their playground, they have to cross Eglinton Avenue, which is a 6-lane area to get to a playground. So the city is wondering if there's an opportunity to look at working together, having a playground, and they would like to arrange maybe a visit with the city staff and see what we could do. I know you have given me a costing, which I shared with the city. They're willing to share the cost, but we also have other issues that we need to sort out because that school is being used. So in the meantime, they're requesting to probably do a visit. They even throw in an idea that maybe we'll buy a portion of that land to make it a playground. So I'm just sharing that, but I think the first step is we do a visit and see what's the possibility. Is that possible?
You'll sell it, the money has to go to the province. I get that deal.
I know. Okay, so would you give me a couple of dates so
Yeah,
we should work it out? Thank you. Just one last question, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry. I have had this issue, and this is in one of the schools that I share with Trustee Ayanika, where the student who graduates does not get their honor roll certificate when they graduate. And the response that they received is they had to wait for the ministry. And this time they had to wait for the ministry because the student went on co-op and it delayed more the honor roll certificate. So I just want to get an understanding because I seems to be getting different information.
Can you leave that with us to follow up?
Yeah, okay, will do. Thank you. Yes, I will. Thank you.
Something came up the other day when I was at a school council meeting, through you to the director. My director, parent call, we had a discussion. And I don't expect an answer here now because it's something we got to look into, but something called grade inflation. Where it's starting to happen is that a lot of the grades are changed so that in fact they're greater than they should be, if you will. It's a phenomenon that happens, for example, in Harvard and all that, because I come to that school, I get a higher grade because I come to that particular school. So Madam Director, if we can look into this and just investigate a little bit. You go to a school, there's a lot of hundreds being given at graduations. And so they're very, very high marks. And I'm starting to think about this. And then now with AI coming into play, it may cause a bit of a dilemma at certain levels of schools. So anyway, Madam Director, if we can have a discussion about it, and then go from there, or however you'd like to handle
Through the
it.
chair, are you looking for a general discussion on academic honesty,
That was-
AI, or has there been a specific allegation or?
No, there's no allegation, there's no pointing of fingers.
Okay.
Okay, there's none like that. No, thank goodness. It's just basically, can you please talk to people? I said, sure, I'll talk about it.
Sure.
But where there's smoke, there may be fire, and I just want to follow.
Sure, we can put together some kind of background or.
Yeah, but let's have a discussion first, even with all the trustees who so wish, before we start putting a lot of effort behind it, because this is something that's not super.
Okay. All right.
No more questions?
No more
So,
questions.
are you turning it over to me?
Yes.
Okay, so there's no more questions. We don't have declared interest items on this open session, so we're moving into in-camera meeting of the committee.
Moving camera, Madam Chair.
Moved by Trustee Mario Pascucci, that's seconded by Trustee Sean Xavier. All in favor? Thank you. We will be moving into in-camera session, and to the resident parents that's watching, we will be doing in-camera session. Good night. What am I talking about? Welcome back to the regular board meeting of the Dufferin Hills Catholic District School Board. Vice Chair Thomas.
Okay, approval of in-camera board minutes and receipt of in-camera committee minutes, receipt of administrative appointments and transfers, approval of motion from the audit, administration and finance and contract negotiation committees. In-camera private session, trustees only approval of minutes and discussion in camera private session. Trustees only regarding a personal matter.
So we have items that was approved. Now we're going to approve it again. That the Board of Trustees approve the summarized annual report to the board and to the ministry for the 2022-2023 year. Could I have a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Trustee Mary Pascucci, seconded by Trustee Sean Xavier. All in favor? Carried. Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. That the Board of Trustees approve the proposed internal audit plan September 2023 to August 2024. Moved by Trustee Bruno Anica,
Second by Thomas.
seconded by Trustee Herman Veloria. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. That the Board of Trustees approve the 2023 Early Retirement Incentive Plan Strategy. Moved by Trustee Stefano Pascucci, seconded by Trustee Anisha Thomas. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. That the Board of Trustees approve the mandate and key priorities for local bargaining with the Association of Professional Student Services Personnel.
Move.
Moved by Trustee Thomas, seconded by Trustee Bria Corbett. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. That the Board of Trustees approve the mandate and key priorities for local bargaining with Dufferin Educational Resource Workers Association. Moved by Trustee Bruno Anica, seconded by Trustee Sean Xavier. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. That the Board of Trustees approve the mandate and key priorities for local bargaining with the Ontario Public Service Employees Union. Moved by Trustee Daryl D'Souza, seconded by Trustee Herman Veloria. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Carried. That the Board of Trustees approve the ratification of the local agreement between the Catholic Principals and Vice Principals Council, Dufferin Elementary and Secondary, and Dufferin Catholic District School Board. Do I have a mover?
So I move, Thomas.
Moved by Trustee Thomas, seconded by Trustee Maria Pascucci. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. That concludes our open session meeting. Our next meeting will be on October 24, 2023. Could I have somebody move adjournment? By Trustee Stefano Pascucci, seconded by Trustee Maria Pascucci. All in favor? He's all in favor. Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank you for those who are watching. Thank you so much.